welcome to HITC Sport. Right lads, there have been some weird transfers in the championship this summer, deals that have gone under the radar, signings you'd have never predicted in a million years. And just like how Swagger Jagger has over 100 million views, some of these just don't make an iota of sense. So let's just have a look. Right, let's go. Barnsley Matty James. Remember that incredible Leicester title winning season? Of course you do. I'd imagine the only way you'd forget is if you put yourself forward for an experimental lobotomy. Some of those players got big moves to Man City and Chelsea, some have wound up on the Barnsley bench. To be fair, Matty James barely played that year. He's been injured for the last 5 years. He hasn't been a Leicester first teamer since their last championship campaign. So a 29-year-old who hasn't played football since his mid-20s, I'm guessing he must be rustier than a public toilet which hasn't been flushed since 2016. Honestly, I'm probably fitter than him. Barnsley had him on loan 3 years ago, but repeating the trick for a guy who's played just 10 minutes of football since 2018? Oh yes, what an ambitious signing for a Barnsley team looking to kick on. Offer contracts to men who probably get a stitch going up the stairs. Birmingham Neil Etheridge. Birmingham have been busy this summer, bringing the likes of Scott Hogan, George Friend and Adam Clayton. That Mancunian midfielder, that is, not the whiny bass player off U2. If we're talking weird signings, then Neil Etheridge winding up at Birmingham City at 30 years of age will surprise Premier League armchair fans. Now, I remember this guy as a fantasy league must-have back in 2019. Sure, he got relegated as Cardiff #1, but the man saved about 15 goddamn penalties that year. Just like David Marshall in 2014, the goalie was the only player to come out of a Premier League season for Cardiff with his prize still intact. This guy was heavily linked with big spending Aston Villa back then. So to hear he's actually lost his place in South Wales and wound up in Birmingham for the club stuck in championship table for nearly a goddamn decade. And for less than £1 million, oh, just a bit underwhelming for a guy with nearly 70 international caps. Okay, it's for the Philippines, but still it counts. Blackburn Harvey Elliott. Okay, don't get me wrong, it's weird to see Daniel Ayala play for something other than Middlesbrough, but for this one I'm going to go with Harvey Elliott. That Liverpool teen prodigy who's just wound up at Ewood Park on loan. I suppose this isn't too weird. It'll just be interesting to see what this guy can do, because don't forget, despite having the British media hype rammed down this guy's throat, linked to Real Madrid and PSG based on nothing, this 17-year-old cheese string has only ever played 25 minutes of Premier League football. The most notable thing he's done is pick up a 2-week ban for insulting the England captain and clearly stapling a dead pigeon to his head. Bournemouth RODRIGO RIQUELME. Yeah, this is just a weird signing pulled from left field. Whoever saw Bournemouth with Jason Tyndall as a manager daring to do their summer shopping at Atletico Madrid? It's a bit like a homeless man getting his lunch from Marks and Spencer's. It just doesn't really fit. A 20-year-old right winger, RODRIGO RIQUELME already has one hell of a name, and last season he was replacing Thomas Lemar for his La Liga debut under Diego Simeone. Now he's replacing Jordan Ibe on the Bournemouth bench in a stadium smaller than a cow's gallbladder. I'm guessing 6 weeks ago he didn't even know what Bournemouth was. Brentford Ivan Toney. Okay, I think I might have been wrong about Ivan Toney. On the face of it, this was a massively naive risk. You've just fell at the last hurdle for promotion, an achievement that nearly caused me to spunk on my eyeballs, and you've just seen your 26-goal top scorer ripped out and sold to Aston Villa. So you replace Ali Watkins by paying a measly £5 million to Bournemouth for Ivan Toney. Yes, he ripped League One in half, but he's a 24-year-old striker who's never played in the Championship and was a Newcastle reject. Price him up, Niall Rangers give more of a chance at St James's Park. So what does that tell you about Toney's credentials? He was at Newcastle when they were giving games to Seydou Doumbia up front, for Christ's sake. I would have thought telling this guy to score goals to get you promoted from the Championship, it would be a bit like telling a fish to mow your lawn. But no, to be fair, he's already scored 5 and 5, so what do I know? Bristol City Chris Brunt. Oh lads, where do you want to start? Seeing Alfie Mawson, a £20 million centre half, limply spat out to Bristol City on loan, it kind of shows you what Fulham think about his ability to clear the ball. But no, the answer is without a doubt Chris Brunt. He's been at West Brom since 2007, and the last time he played for a team other than the Baggies, Gwen Stefani was in the charts, Spider Pig was one of the first ever internet memes, and the latest Harry Potter book was being treated like the second Bible. So my point is, after 420 games being stuffed in a West Brom shirt, I was half convinced his former Northern Ireland international would be buried in a coffin at the Hawthorns. So it's a bit weird to see him sign up at 35 for Bristol City. Cardiff Harry Wilson. Lads, this is just sad. Remember when Harry Wilson banged in a bunch of free kicks for Derby County and Bournemouth? The guy was being treated like the second coming of David Beckham. Yes, his set pieces are top class, but lads, so are Chris MD's and Jez Lynch, and I'd still rather chuck a couple of bin bags into a Premier League midfield than then. Wilson's hype wasn't helped by the fact that he beat Gareth Bale's record to become Wales' youngest ever player at just 16. Anyway, after spending last season claiming he'd only leave Anfield on a permanent deal, he's now living the 5th consecutive loan spell of his life. Lads, if Reed Brewster can't survive under Jurgen Klopp, then what chance does Wilson have? Coventry Callum O'Hare. Lads, I remember when Callum O'Hare was being held up as Ireland's second chance to Jack Grealish, a teenage attacking midfielder for Aston Villa who also played GA football as a kid. He was supposed to be our next big thing. He even looks like Grealish. But no, he's currently 22 and just being spat out on a free transfer to Coventry City. I guess he's not the next Grealish then. Derby Jordan Ibe. Okay, the transfers of Bobby Duncan and Colin Castle-Richards definitely scream bizarre, especially the latter. Christ above, he hasn't played in England since 2013. Since then, he spent 7 years living the life of a virtual travel agent, backpacking backpacking his way across the globe. But no, the standout strange signing is Jordan Ibe. Dragged in from out the unemployment queue, I guess this guy's career has now come full circle. When he was shining on loan from Liverpool at Derby in 2014, he was held up as a teenage sensation, potentially better than Raheem Sterling. Yeah, considering he's only scored 4 goals since then in nearly 120 league games, it's fair to say he's probably League One standard. So why the hell have Derby snapped him up again? Huddersfield Danny Ward. Well, this is just a blatant and non-subtle attempt at Huddersfield trying to relive one of the best seasons in their history. Danny Ward might be carving out a career as a bench-warming goalie, but he's a Hull City modern legend, earning himself hero status as he saved penalties in a championship playoff final 3 years ago. So clearly the Huddersfield board are somehow trying to relive the past by again bringing in Danny Ward. Except this time he's a striker with 12 goals in 68 games for Cardiff on a free transfer. Come on, this guy is the goal scoring instincts of a dirty Freddo rapper. They've clearly only brought him in as a good luck charm. Luton Rhys Norrington-Davies. Good old Rhys Norrington-Davies, a name so posh, he sounds like he should be spending his afternoon searching for Captain Jack Sparrow. He's a 21-year-old Welsh defender who was born in Saudi Arabia for some weird reason, and yeah, just being snapped up on loan from Sheffield United. Time will tell if he's any good. Middlesbrough Chuba Akpom. I've got to be honest, I'm surprised Neil Warnock even knew who Chuba Akpom was. That man usually specialises in bringing in what he knows. You know, big British target man lumps of grease, guys who probably sweat through their mouth, you know, someone like Grant Holt. But no, they've gone out to Greece to tie up a £2 million deal for Chuba Akpom, a 25-year-old forward, a former Arsenal prodigy whose bizarre CV is probably read as a ghost story to Eddie and Kedia. Millwall Troy Parrott. Troy Parrott is Ollie's next great hope. No, sorry, our only hope, because let's be honest, Aaron Connolly is more Shane Long than Robbie Keane now, isn't he? Parrott is an actual goal scoring machine on underage level. He nearly scored against Gianluigi Buffon in pre-season last year. We need this 18-year-old Dubliner to really rip up the championship with Millwall this season. Please, come on Parrott, just do something. Give us a bit of hope, because I'm struggling to find any. Norwich Oliver Skipp. This is a really surprising signing. Oliver Skipp is a 20-year-old midfielder who's getting games at Tottenham, amassing over 20 first-team appearances in just 2 seasons. So it's a bit of a coup for Norwich to be able to snap him up on loan. Nottingham Forest, Loic Mimbasso. Okay, this makes no sense. The likes of Jack Colback, Tyler Blackett, Harry Arter, Lyle Taylor, a quartet of championship mediocrity. Yeah, fine, go nuts. But Loic Mimbasso, he's just been nominated for the Golden Boy Award while at PSG. He's a 19-year-old defender, a France underage international who's been threatening to break into the Parisian first team. So can I ask why he's now finding himself taking orders from Chris Hughton in a championship dressing room filled with the likes of Colback and Carl Jenkinson? He's not even on loan. It's a permanent deal. He's quit PSG for them. What happened? Preston Emil Rhys-Jakobsen. To be fair, this is the only transfer Preston made this transfer window. Emil Rhys-Jakobsen, a 22-year-old striker who came through at Derby County, and he's now just being dragged in from some Danish club called Randers FC. Who knows if he's any good? QPR Chris Willock. Again, who saw this one coming? Chris Willock, brother of Joe, spent 14 years in the books of Arsenal before bizarrely signing up for 3 years of B football with Benfica. Now he's back from his Portuguese holiday, a 22-year-old forward returning to London with QPR. I don't think anyone saw this one happening. Reading ALFA SEMEDO. Alright, who saw this one happening? Anyone? ALFA SEMEDO, a 23-year-old Benfica midfielder who spent last year on loan at Nottingham Forest. He's just been snapped up on a loan deal by Reading. It's a bit weird. Rotherham Jamal Blackman. This is only strange because it's yet another loan deal. The 8th of Jamal Blackman's career. This guy is a goalkeeper who's older than Kepa, just 2 years younger than Edouard Mendy, and he's just been tricked into another loan deal. I promise you, Frank Lampard will not be getting out Rotherham tapes this season. You've been at Stamford Bridge since 2006 and never played a game. What does that tell you? This guy was in the celebrations for the 2012 Champions League win. Just cut the cord and get a fresh start, instead of being strung along by a club who clearly don't think you're any good. Sheffield Wednesday, Viseo Deli-Bashiru. Yeah, Viseo Deli-Bashiru is a 19-year-old German-born midfielder who's seen as a promising Man City talent, having been on the books in 2009. Instead, he's finally been sold. Off he goes to Sheffield Wednesday on a permanent basis. I guess he's not the next Phil Foden then. Swansea Morgan Gibbs-White. Remember a couple of years ago when British pundits were talking up a teenage Morgan Gibbs-White as if he was the English Xavi? That was 2 years ago. Now at 20, he's just been loaned out to Swansea City. He scored against Preston, and now he's out for 3 months after fracturing his foot. This guy must be a 46th choice midfielder for England right now. Just a bit of an anticlimax. Stoke Angus Gunn. Yeah, this one has gone under the radar. For a guy linked with £30 million moves away from Stoke for the last 5 years, seeing Jack Butland finally scuttle out of Crystal Palace's bench in a low-key £1 million deal, it's not exactly the glorious Premier League return he'd have wanted. It's just sort of sad for a guy who should have been England's #1 by now. Anyway, he's just been replaced by Angus Gunn on loan. Lads, if you thought Butland's confidence and self-belief was in the toilet, why on earth are you bringing in a goalie who conceded 9 in his last match? Watford Glenn Murray. This is bizarre. Glenn Murray is a carbon copy of Watford's captain. Good old Troy Deeney, a bulldozing centre forward who's 5 years younger than Murray. So why is this guy needed? He's not. Wickham Daryl Horgan. This is just sad. Daryl Horgan played for Ireland against Wales last week, and he blazed over a good chance. So this is our reality now. We're actually fielding 28-year-old wingers who've just been signed by Wickham Wanderers. Is that the standard of a national team right now? Is that where we're at? I remember when we used to be able to call them midfielders from Chelsea, Man City, Man United. Now it's guys given 2-year contracts at Adams Park, signing in a £50,000 deal from Hibernian, where he scored just 6 league goals in nearly 70 Scottish Premier League games. Lads, Anyway, that's the end of that. Let me know in the comments below. What weird transfers do you know that I haven't mentioned? Let me know. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and as always, I'll talk to you in a while.